If I put a brand new bright red 911 Porsche motor car on your driveway this afternoon at 3 o'clock, would you consider letting me make payments?
Ever wonder how to structure a seller finance deal? Well, it's easy, even for newbies. When you follow a specific sequence of questions before you break out the contract. I was going to share them with you, but I invited the person who taught them to me to share with you in person. He's about to spill the beans for the first time in public and the first time ever in the United States. So stick around for a secret to seller finance negotiation so you can set yourself up to structure a good seller finance deal. You will only hear it here. All right, let's go. What's up? It's Matt at Epic, and if you're new here, glad you found me. If not, great to see you again. Today, we're diving deep into seller financing, specifically the 8 killer questions to ask the seller before you ever pull out the contract. My guest is gonna guide you through all 8 in detail. We'll then tackle those pesky seller objections that are bound to come up, and then he'll reveal the secrets of his never before seen in the United States language map. Stay till the end, and I'll give you a copy, but only if you hit that like button. And if you have a comment or question about seller financing, drop it below in the comments. Please help me welcome back creative financing ninja and inspiration of some of my greatest creative deal structuring tricks. I mean, I could call him my secret weapon, Rick Otton.
Thanks, Matt. Good to see you again.
Hey, the last time we talked, you shared with me what you call a language map that anyone can use, even newbie investors, to easily triple the number of their successful transactions, because the series of questions inside this map, it keeps people on a train track, as you put it, that is really hard for them to fall off and not get to their desired destination. So thanks for agreeing to come back and share these exclusively with us, because I know you make these available only to your private clients. So thank you for that. But before we get to those, can you give us an overview of your creative financing process and how it differs from traditional methods?
Yeah, so, okay. Well, I always take the attitude, because it's the way I started back there in Dallas in 89, right? That I got no money. So when you got no money, you'd be surprised how resourceful you get, okay? The second thing is to make properties easy for people to buy, and they become easy for people to sell. So most properties that are put on the market are just made really hard for most people to be able to buy that property. So I'm all about, how do I make this really easy? And remember, the first thing is, plain and simple, I can do it. So if I have a negotiation with anybody and their brain is thinking, this is fun, simple, I can do it, people will keep walking towards doing the deal. It's got to be fun, it's got to feel like it's simple, and it's going to feel like they can do it. And it could be, and so sometimes when you see it being funny or whatever, that's what I do. It makes people feel like this is fun, this is easy, I can do it. And I keep my language palette to no more than about 8 letters, 2 syllables that a 12-year-old can understand.
As we both know, understanding the seller's motivation, it's crucial in creative financing. What are the key questions you ask sellers to assess their motivation and determine if they're even a good fit for further conversation about your creative financing proposal?
Okay, well, one of the questions I'm going to ask them, money, when something's selling a house, the money's only going to go to 4 destinations. Either to pay off debt, go into a bank account, go into another investment, or it's going to go into the next house. So it's important that I need to know in the conversation pattern, and I was going to get to that in a minute, where's the destination of this money? Because where the destination of this money is going to help me frame out the offer or how I'm going to run this conversation so it makes sense. Does that make sense? Let's face it. I don't want to think about things that are irrelevant. There's no point talking about wheelchairs to a guy that's got perfectly 2 good legs, okay? So the thing is, are there the 4 directions the money's going? I want to know where that money's going, and that will help me frame up a better alternative to use me than his conventional thinking in order to get that thing that he's trying to do with that money.
One of the concerns that many aspiring investors have is how to structure deals that are a win-win for both the buyer and the seller. And you do a lot of that just right in the conversation up front when you're structuring.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this entire process, and then I'm going to point out to you which of these 8 questions should always be in every negotiation sequence, right? First thing is, I need to know information. The information, people are going to want to tell me what they're going to do with the money, where it's going to go, unless they ask permission, because they're going to say, it's none of your business, mind your own business. I always use the doctor analogy. I say, sir, if you don't mind, in order for us to have a constructive conversation, like a doctor, I feel like I have to ask some questions to get an understanding of what's going on. Do you mind if I ask no questions? And people say, no, fine. Have far away. Then you can ask very personal questions and people will answer everything you want if you've set the doctor scenario. Okay? First thing I want to know is, where's that money going? Where's the money going? There's 4 things. He'll tell me where it's going. That'll help me set it up. Okay? Now, what I'm going to say to him is, so what have you been trying to do so far? Okay? He's going to tell me what he's been trying to do to sell this house so far. And I'll say, how's that been working out for you? Now, he's obviously going to say it hasn't been working out well, otherwise I wouldn't be there. And then I'm going to say to him, so just understand, you're going to sell this house to get this money for the next house, or to get this money to pay off debts, or to do whatever one of those 4 things he told me. Now, this is where I bring in the first of the 8 questions, and they're very important. And they're 3, and they make no sense, but they're incredibly important. I'm asking why. Why is he wanting to do that with the money? Why is he wanting to go there? Why? He will tell me, okay? I say, is that important to you? These have to be separate questions. Yes, he'll tell me why it's important. Now, if I keep the hands on the table up like this, he'll keep talking if I keep looking my head. When I want him to stop talking, all I do is turn my hands up like this, he'll stop talking. Okay? As he talks, everything stops. I don't have to say anything. He'll just watch the hands. Now, then I'll say, it's very important to you. Then I say, why? And then a third time after, he's already told me why this is important. I say, now, why is it important to you? Now, this is really important because remember, I had to shift this guy from a logical state to an emotional state, otherwise he will not transact anything. Remember, we all make decisions based on emotion, not logic. If we made decisions based on logic, we'll all be single. Later on, everybody will find their logic to justify their emotional decision. And it must be shifted because right now, where we start, he's just trying to blow me off on every other guy that comes in to buy my house. So he's going to give me some stupid story. Is that important to you? Why? Why is that important to you? Now, as I ask these questions, he's getting frustrated and he's going to start thinking more about why he wants to do what it is he wants to do. And people will get emotional. And I'm very calm and very quiet, but I know he's entering a state. Once people are in that state, they're just so much easier to move because now they're in a position of, this is a pain, and I want to get to that game. These questions are incredibly important. So then he's told me what he wants to get the money, and as it says, you say, you want to get the money to pay the debts, tells me all that stuff. And I'll say, then it raises a question, and here's question number 4, and it's always the same. Raise a question. The question is there a way that we can get these debts paid off and get this happening and this happening and this happening in order to get you to Florida? Is that the question? That's the question 4. And here's what that does. That brings us both to the same side of the table, totally in focus, both bearing why they're there. And if I'm going the wrong direction, he'll say, no, that's not what we're all about. We're doing this. But that is the tie-down question, question number 4. That says, okay, we're singing from the same street, we're in harmony, we know where we're going. Now, before I go to question 5, okay, he's already told me it's not working out for him so far. I will only attempt to buy houses from people who have tried to list a house and sell it with an agent. In most cases, and here's why now, I've found out that if people don't have any value about what they think this house is worth, they'll never sell it to you. Even if I said, I'll give you $1 million for it, they have no idea what their house is worth because they haven't spent any time assessing what it's worth, they won't let me buy it. And they're the fear of missing out about what they don't know. So the question is, let me ask you something. By the way, I noticed we did a podcast the other day and people will say, I use the expression, let me ask you something. It's a very important question to ask. If you go to a party or I want to take complete 100% of your concentration, I say, hey mate, let me ask you something. What you do is you'll exclude every other thought in your brain because I've come to you the most important man on the planet and said, let me ask you something. And you're like, yes, Jim K, I'm ready to give you the information you need. It's a great way to seize people to 100% of their attention and knock out everything else they're thinking about. Does that make sense? Okay. Yep. That's why I say that. Right. So let me ask you something. Matt, let me ask you something. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready for it. Don't say, have you had the agent to give you a value on the property? You restructure. You say, have you had agents give you some value on the property, what they think the property is worth? And they go, yes, you had the agents over. What did they say it was worth? People will always tell you what the top agent said it was worth. They say, well, 400,000. Now, this is the next saying, what did the other agent say it was worth? Now, those other voice came down, right? Because the other agents came in lower, but he's not going to tell you that. He's just going to tell the agent, saying, what did the other agent say it was worth? What did they say? 300. So what do you think one agent saw there for 350 that the other guy didn't see at 300. Whatever made that $50,000 difference, right? I can't tell the guy his face is ugly, daddy, I just get into question his own belief system. You understand? Okay, so he's told me so far that what he's been doing now is not working out. I've asked him in 3 questions. Then I've gone into the 4th question, which is, and the question is there a way that we can do X in order for you to do Y? And get the other side. And he says, okay. The 5th question then says, just suppose. What just suppose does, it floats an idea. This means I'm not going to be in competition with you, but together we're going to look at this idea, this proposal, this imaginary idea of going to the here, and we're going to decide if somehow that could work for you and me. So I said, well, just suppose there was a way that I could come in and make all the payments to the bank every month on your house so that you wouldn't have to, and get the $30,000 in your bank account by next Thursday. I'm just suppose we could do something like that. Does that sound like something that could work for you, right? Now, there I've got an idea. Now, usually if I was in a stage, usually what I normally do is I need to walk with an open window and I look out the open window, and the man will come and stand next to me. We'll both look out the open window because that's where the idea is, and we'll discuss this idea. So you go, well, I'm not too sure. Now, here is the question that answers every objection you ever get. You're always going to get objections, and if you don't get objections, you're going to get scared. And something's not right. The guy will say, well, I'm not sure. Well, and then here's how you answer this. Word for word, don't change it. Sam, you obviously have a reason for saying that. Do you mind if I ask what it is? What you're actually saying about is, I know you're a highly intelligent man, you don't say stupid things, and there's a reason for why you just said what you said. Because if I just say why, he'll say none of your business, okay? And if I say, sir, you obviously have a reason for saying that, would you mind if I ask what it is, okay? And then he'll go blah, 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 blah. He'll tell you whatever it is, okay? Now, the next question, people always, Matt, want to do what other people are doing. No one wants to feel like they're doing different things. Does that make sense? People want to feel like, oh, I know what you're talking about the other day. Okay? It's called feel, felt, found. So you might say, well, I can't do it because the bank might not be really comfortable about you babysitting my loan. By the way, the students should always write this down. You never assume a loan. You never take over a loan. You're only ever going to babysit it. Everybody loves their babysitter, and they'll let you babysit loans all day long, but they won't let you assume them, and they won't let you take them over. Okay? As long as they babysit this thing. I'll say, well, what's your share? CEMs have a reason to say that. You want to pass with this? He goes, well, we might go down to the bank, and they may not approve and let us do it. So, I know how you feel. Where's you find the case with most people? And I only had a guy, Baptist, he felt exactly the same way. And here's what he did. He went to the bank and he spoke to the bank, and they made him said it was okay as long as he filled the 3 pieces of paper and it was all in alignment with the government legislation. So he raised a question. And the question is, if it worked for that man over there in Baptist, Washington, ABC, just pick a city or a town, right? If it worked for the man over there, can it work for you down here in Atlanta or wherever you are, right?
Right.
Is that the question? Let me go through this again. This is important. When people have an objection, and they're not too sure, the CNA field, we find that the case with most people. Well, I said it's slower than this. The other day, I was speaking to a man, and he felt exactly the same way. But what we found was when he went to the bank, and he said this, they let him do that. So it raised the question. And the question is, if it worked well for the man over there in Atlanta, is there any reason why it couldn't work for us down here in New Jersey? Is that the question? Yeah. And suddenly, because we've locked it into something we're already going to do, it works. Okay. So I've just given the 8 questions, but I want to show you how they work, right? So I've already said, he's told me what he wants, where the money's going to go to. He's got to show me his house, or it hasn't been worked out for him. He wants the money in the bank, pay off debts, or buy a new house, okay? One of the questions I'm going to show you is the dealer's consultancy. You need the money from this house in order to complete the transaction in the new house. If he says he doesn't need the money from the sale of this house to complete the transaction on the new house, that means the money can be left behind. Does that make sense? In other words, I could make payments on it. I could get the carryback financing on it because he doesn't need it. Yeah. So that's that question that I asked there.
So on that question, I asked that question, I get to it, but I get to it in a very roundabout way. And the way that you've proposed it, I'm running through the many conversations that I've had with sellers. That would have felt a little bit too early in the conversation for me to ask such a quote unquote intrusive question. What are you going to do with your money? And it's like instinctively I would feel I would get it's none of your business. And I haven't done that before, so I always introduce that conversation much later. How do you do it and really soften the landing?
First of all, I only ever do this at the table. Remember, once I need people to the table, I never talk about any business in the living room, the kitchen, or the backyard. It must be at the desk at the table because people will switch. They go to business mode. Then I set it up by saying, sir, before we get started today, I feel like a doctor. I may need to ask some questions to get a full understanding what's going on. Do you mind if I ask my questions? So I've asked permission to ask the questions. So usually the ones that came straight after that is, so let me ask you something. So we all understand you can sell this house, and you've obviously got a reason for doing that. And the money usually goes in one of these 4 directions: paying off debt, buying the new house, you're going to invest in somewhere else, or what? And then I just have to shut up, and he'll tell me when that money's going to go. So then one of the things I quite often do is, if I want to make payments on a house, I won't just say to the person, can I make the payments on your house? He's going to say, well, how does that work? Right? He's going to freak him out. So I stretch that slightly different. I say, this house got about $400,000 on it. I guess like every house, he's got like a debt in your cash bit. Like if you're like me, you're paying right now a check every month. You go, yeah. Let me ask you something, Matt. In a perfect world, if you could, still a perfect world, one that's check you get around rich now. If you could, in a perfect world, would you like to see it come out of your bank account, or would you prefer to see it come out of my bank account? And then you say, yeah, yes, of course. Let me ask you something. In a perfect world, if you could, how many of those little checks that come out of the bank would you like to see come out of my bank account? And they say the same thing every single time. And
The rest of
it. Correct. And that's it. It's okay. We'll look after that. It's at the table. We don't discuss that again. Because, wait, we're going to get that ceiling back. You're going to be a happy man. But the thing that's going to make you happier is let's get that test bit. Because right now, it's that test you need, right? So what it's kind of said is we're already grants. I'm going to be looking after that babysitting that debt thing, because we're really good about the cash thing. We're not really about the debt thing. No one falls in love with the debt. You all just fall in love with the cash.
Right.
And then we have to work out the way under which I'm going to give you the cash. Right? Now, when people say to me, yeah, which 99.9% of people will say they want all their cash. If I say, can I make payments? They say, no, I want all cash, which is pretty standard, right? So I understand that pictures are more powerful than words. So I understand you want all cash and you want me to give it to you by tomorrow, but let me ask you a question. You're not that excited about me making payments. Would that be right? No, I'm not that excited about you making payments. If I put a brand new bright red 911 Porsche motor car on your driveway this afternoon at 3 o'clock, would you consider letting me make payments? And it's a pattern break. What it does, when we're thinking, we have certain restricted questions or objections. That's why when you fight with your wife, you can never win, because just scripted stuff just comes out, okay? You need a pattern break to smash those thoughts. So when you talk about the 911 Porsche, and people always shut up and go, well, yeah, if you're going to give me a 911 brand new red Porsche, I will. And then here's the kicker, you go, so what you're really citing, sir, is the value statement between zero and the value of a 911 red Porsche. Somewhere in there could be a value exchange, which you'll let you make payments on the house. Is that correct? Yeah, how will you put it that way? So I'm really saying it's not really about the house, it's not really about the debt. It's just about what that value exchange has to be in order for you to walk out and smiling. That's how I get people to let me make payments. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes call up and I'll say, before I get the Porsche, because I leave the Porsche as the last one, I say, let me ask you something, you want all cash? Just suppose I used to make payments, how much interest would I have to pay or how much would I have to pay more for the house? Remember, if it's a $400,000 house, I say, let me ask you something, Jim, why are you selling it so cheap? What do? I bought the house today, but you're going to be buying for $500. I've got a patent date, right? Now, you and I both know that if you make payments with no interest on $500, heck, I do a 10-10. That's I'll pay 10% more for the house over 10 years, okay?
Yeah.
And I end up paying about half price for the house, because it's all in the interest. Yeah, the payments are right. But I find the Porsche, everybody should use the Porsche for it. It's a great way for people to say yes to the Porsche, then they're going to say yes to the value exchange, and now this whole conversation is not about a house, not about a debt, it's about the cash bit and what value do you have to give to get the terms under where you're going to get that. Does that make sense?
You know, Rick, I enjoy our conversations. You'd never disappoint. I learn something from you every time I talk to you. If someone else wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Like, just jump on rickottonofficial.com and they can book some time to chat with me.
And that's how Rick sets up his deal structure for seller financing. If you'd like a copy of Rick's language map, I made it simple and uploaded it for you at ricskillerquestions.com. By the way, if you'd rather listen on the go, you'd love the Epic Real Estate Investing Podcast. It's the longest running real estate podcast on the interwebs. Now, what did you find most valuable during this interview today? Let me know below. And who do you know that may also want to see this? When their name comes to mind, please share it with them. Oh, and I pulled this video out special for you to watch next. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.